Okay, great, thank you. Maybe can you take us to the roll?
Rick is not here, or sorry. Yeah, Rick, right? Yeah, Rick. Okay. Earl here, Amanda
Here,
Damon here, Nathan here.
all right, first order of business is to approve, last month's meeting minutes on August 25th. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over these? Do you have any additions, corrections? Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes, 28/2022.
Second,
Oh, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes pass. Okay, Adam, do we have any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda? Okay, great. Well, that looks like we have only one case tonight, and that is case number 06, variance 2022 at 461 Hamilton Street. I think we could start us with the presentation.
All right, so for this particular case, this involves a set of variances that are being requested for a project at 461 Hamilton Street. The owners are Toby and Jonathan Angelopulos. And the zoning on the property is residential 3.5 or R 3.5, and it's within the Old Town Overlay District. Current use of the property is single-family residential. And the request more specifically is that the owners desire to construct an additional garage and loft area onto the home. And that would be approximately 884 square feet plus a connecting breezeway. And there are three variances that they're requesting. Of course, we'll go into more detail, but just as an overview, number one, they're seeking relief from the maximum garage width that exceeds 50% of the home. The second one is the Madison Street setback of 16 feet instead of 25 feet as required. And the last one is an expansion of a gravel driveway, not paved. So if we take a look at the aerial photo and parcel map, you can see that the property is right at the northwest corner of Hamilton and Madison, or State Route 13. Of course, to the south is the Strauss Market, and then across the street is the Hillcrest neighborhood. And if we take a look at the oblique aerial photo, and of course we can always refer back to these as needed, that gives you a view looking west. Where the star is located is generally where they would like to put this addition onto the home. And if we take a look, it's a recent ground photo of the property, which is very well known. If we look at the plan more specifically, for legibility, we did provide a handout for in case you need to refer to that. But the area that's circled here is where this garage would be located, and where the connecting breezeway would be located. And then if we take a look at the elevations, you can see that although it's a two-car garage, they're providing just a one-car bay as an aesthetic. That's probably the additional bay would be used for presumably some sort of storage, replacing another garage that they have, which is used for storage. So on this first variance that deals with the garage door width issue, the zoning ordinance states that all new homes throughout the town shall include the following minimum design standards. And when we look at that list, it says, number 9, a single-family dwelling facade shall comprise at least 50% of the total facade width, and the garage shall not exceed more than 50% of the facade width. So although obviously the home is not new, this addition would be. And for section 8.2 of the ordinance that talks about non-conforming situations, this is that any non-conformity on the structure cannot be increased without a variance from the BZA. So roughly speaking, in terms of the dimensions, they basically have two front yards for the zoning ordinance, one along Madison and then one along Hamilton. So along Hamilton, the garage from that view would be more or less 57% of the front of the home. And then along Madison, it would be about 51%, so pretty close to the requirement. The applicant currently has a 3-car garage and would like to add an additional 2-car garage. So as I mentioned, to soften the appearance, the 2-car garage would only have a 1-car door. In terms of any remonstrance to this variance, we're not aware of any. However, all public hearing notification requirements have been met for the case in terms of doing a mailing, posting a sign, and putting a legal ad in the newspaper. So if we go through each of the 3 criteria, the decision criteria that's based on meeting on a code for this variance, I'll give my staff opinion, but you certainly don't need, you're not bound by that. You can differ if you want to one way or the other. So the first one is general welfare. Is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. I'd say that yes, that's been met, that this addition wouldn't impact those items. Secondly, adjacent property, that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And so yes, that's met. It wouldn't negatively impact surrounding properties. And then the third one is practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of this chapter will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property. I'd say yes, it's been met. While it could be argued that 5-car bays is an excessive number of bays in an old town environment on a home that was originally about 1,300 square feet, the applicant minimized the appearance of this proposed addition by having only 1 additional garage door. And again, we're not aware of any remonstrance from any neighbors. My recommendation on this variance would be to approve it with the condition that the landscaping mounds, shrubs, and flowers that are shown on the site plan shall simply be installed in association with the project. Variance number 2, the Madison Street setback 16 feet instead of 25 feet as required. That comes out of the Old Town overlay. For front setbacks in the overlay, you have to have either a 25-foot front yard setback or the average front yard setback for buildings on the same side of the street within 200 feet, whichever is less. So in this, using that alternative calculation, the setback would have to be 34.5 feet. So in this case, obviously the 25 feet would apply since that is the lower of the 2 numbers. As I mentioned, the property has 2 front yards as defined by the zoning ordinance, and the applicant seeking a 16-foot setback along Madison. The property, I can go back to the aerial I probably should here. It has a large strip of INDOT right-of-way along Madison, and the right-of-way strip is about 21 feet wide to the edge of the walking path along Madison. So therefore, the east edge of the new garage would still be about 37 feet from the path. And it's important to note that no additional right-of-way on Madison is anticipated per the adopted thoroughfare plan of the town. I just wanted to show you here on the map. You see here, this area where the cursor is. This is INDOT right-of-way. There's a sidewalk there? Yes, there's a path.
It's not really a sidewalk, it's a path, people drive on it.
Oh, sorry, well, it should be a walking path along that.
Take
bicycle
they take
path
yours
and then the sidewalk along.
on the corner.
So moving on to this particular variance, again, no known remonstrance. The first test, the general welfare test, I'd say that yes, it's been met that a setback variance of 90 feet would not impact those items, public health, safety, or morals. Second one, in terms of adjacent property, I'd say that yes, that's been met. Allowing a setback variance in this case will not place the building closer to any adjacent homes, only the right of way. And the third one is practical difficulty. I'd say yes, that's been met. The setback is generally in line with the building directly to the north on the adjacent property. So with that one, my recommendation would be simply approve it. And then lastly, on variance number 3, this would be to allow expansion of a non-conforming gravel driveway. In the zoning ordinance that was adopted in 2020, it says that new gravel driveways shall only be allowed in the agricultural zoning district. And so, as I mentioned, the zoning on this property is residential 3.5, not agricultural. So therefore, the existing gravel driveway is a legal non-conforming use. And again, going back to that section of the ordinance that deals with non-conformities, it says that no legal non-conforming site feature, in this case, a driveway, shall be altered, removed, or otherwise modified in a manner that increases the amount of non-conformity. For building expansion on the site with non-conforming site features, every reasonable attempt as defined by the planning director shall be made to upgrade the site and building accordingly to the provisions of this ordinance. So if we take a look at those 3 items again in terms of general welfare, I say yes, that's been met. That any dust that would be generated by this additional gravel driveway, basically an expansion onto what they already have, would be negligible. Second one is adjacent property. Yes, that's been met. Allowing expansion of the gravel driveway would not negatively impact adjacent property values and uses. And then the third item is practical difficulty. I'd say that's been generally met. Paving of the driveway has been stated by the applicant to be expensive, which is understandable, possibly due to inflation and or supply chain issues. However, the intent of the code is to gradually phase out gravel driveways in the zoning district as new projects come along. So the staff recommendation based on that would be approved with the condition that the applicant shall pave the gravel driveway and expand the area with asphalt or concrete, and such pavement shall be installed no later than 1 year after a certificate of occupancy is issued for a building expansion, and the sidewalk in front of the driveway shall be replaced as well. The thought process behind that is maybe if you're inclined, a happy compromise could be to still have them comply with the code on this, but give them ample time. In this case, if it took them, let's say, just for sake of argument, it took them a year to build the addition, and then this would allow for an additional year on top of that to get that to you. So that was the thought process on that. And then the sidewalk along the front in that picture, right in front of the driveway. It's cracking pretty bad. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address those. The applicant here as well. Thank you.
Does anyone here on the board have any questions for Alan?
Yeah, I do. On your recommendation on asphalt or concrete drive, is that just the additional part, or is that for the whole everything?
My recommendation would be to do the whole thing. But again, it's certainly up to you all.
So the whole part would be really grandfathered.
Yeah, that could be another way of doing it if you want. I think it might be somewhat odd to have kind of just a portion of the driveway paved, but that's certainly an option. There'd be no issue there in terms of the code.
And sorry, but we're just talking about the cracked concrete. Is that the town's issue right there, or is that since it's sidewalk driveway?
Well,
Is that
yeah, the thought process there is obviously it is town sidewalk. It is, for any situation where we've seen somebody pave a new approach, pave a driveway, and they'll typically go out to the edge of the driveway. So, it would probably make sense in this case, if they were required to do that, just go ahead and upgrade that whole, the sidewalk in front of the driveway. But again, that's you all. Would you like?
Do you have any other questions?
To the variance, or the setback variance, the 16 feet is to the edge of their parcel. And so because the NDOT took what seems to be an exceeding amount of right of way, that's the reason we're in the variance. Correct?
Correct.
So if NDOT just had edge of pavement or back of sidewalk, we would not be in a variance situation in this case, but because it's only a significant spot. That's why.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
Okay.
Because on the other side of my house, I think I have a 4 foot right away. But, I mean, it's,
So it's yours, we did the same thing.
because I'm on the other side of the grocery store,
On the
but
other
ours is like 4 feet. Maybe it's our house is so.
You're so close, you're so close.
We're
to the
so,
road.
Sure.
so it must vary all along Madison Street,
Yeah.
that right away.
I don't know, if there's drainage infrastructure under there or what.
They didn't put any drainage there. See, they bought that, we have 3 lots there. So it was, we built on a lot and a half, and there was a lot and a half next to it, which my mom owned. And then we own all of it now. But when the State Department came and they bought that parcel and put that, whatever you want to call that path, into there, it actually, and it made that piece of property unbuildable. You couldn't build anything there because of it. So, yes. But I believe they widened that road. I don't think they put any drainage.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because I'm gonna have time for you to come up, so you can stay and state your name for the public record. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. Yeah, state your name and how you represent the project.
Oh, I'm Toby Angelopulos, and I'm one of the owners.
All right, so did anybody have any questions? Then continue.
Do you guys have any issues with the recommendations that have those like the pavement, the?
Driveway is a major issue.
Yeah.
Only because we actually have had it quoted out. It will be extensively expensive to do the entire thing. It will also not be aesthetically pleasing if we only do the new part and not the old part. We've lived there 25 years. We've always had a gravel driveway. Our gravel, if you see from the pictures, it doesn't look like my neighbor's gravel driveway, which has grass growing in it. 90% of the driveways on Hamilton Street are gravel. Very few of them are paved. So it's not that it looks, it's more a lot, it's a price. I mean, we're already kind of work out quite a bit of money to make it look nice and do some things. We're gonna do some landscaping things on that corner itself with some of the builder. It's just kind of it may be a make or break thing on our project. I would hate for that to be an issue, so.
Are you okay with doing the landscaping?
Yeah, that was our plan. We threw that in there. We're gonna take that, well, we're disrupting all of my plants that I've been working very hard on for all these years. We're going to move them to the landscaping, and we're gonna use the filter from the new garage foundation to build that. Build it. Yeah, that's in our plan to do. Yep,
Okay, we might bring you back up.
sure.
Okay, thank you. We have time for public response for or against this project. Anybody here interested in speaking?
They all live with me.
Okay.
They can be quiet if they want to.
All right, also, we have time then for government officials, to make a comment. I see a shaking of head. No. No. Okay, so we're gonna have, the petitioner come back up, we can have a couple of. I'm not even sure if it's gonna be addressed to you or to Adam. So. On this site plan here, the edge, the Madison edge of the garage. Is the face of that, how in relationship does that line up with the, I don't know what they're called, the apartments to the north of you? is it going to exceed past the face of those, or is it going to be behind those? I don't know who can answer this.
It's almost in line.
It is
It's
almost,
almost in line.
well, we've got it staked out there.
Okay.
Almost the
A foot, 6 inches?
pass or not?
If it's at all past, it's like less than probably 10 feet. I mean, it is not very far. We had all those trees removed and all the bushes and stuff taken out of that gross monstrosity in between there so that we could do it. It was hard to measure, but I think it is that corner, the actual corner, that north corner is gonna be right at where those apartments are, where they come to the end, where their front sidewalks come, like, or their front little porches. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second question, so on your sketch here, I see that the new garage is, obviously, we're setting off the back property line, that's not in question, I think that's, within the setback line, but that kind of pulls this garage forward. Do you anticipate any access problem from your existing garage and putting that corner?
No.
of the new? Because I know I see the garage door, then it's
It's
down.
going to come enough at an angle that it's probably hard to see on a flat piece of paper, but it will come out, that little breezeway will come around and it'll come at an angle there that it's not, it will come out a little bit in front, and mostly the reason why we could actually set it back a little further, there is, because those trees have been in that, or was an easement or a vacated alleyway at one time. Because they have been there for so long, the tree roots in there are ginormous, and so there's no way, I mean, to dig down there, so we just decided to avoid that and pull it in front of it. So it doesn't go back, because we would own to the middle of that alleyway.
So this might be a question for Adam. If we put the condition on there to, and again, this is if we put the condition on there to have them pay or blacktop the drive as one of the conditions a year, at time of CSU or CFO. Do they have the ability to come back and get an extension on that should construction prices have continued to rise?
Yes, they could always come back to the board to, if you were to approve it with any sort of condition, and for whatever reason, not able to abide by the. I mean, back to the board, and say a year has passed, and that's part for the utilities, yeah. I think the other thing I would add too on the gravel situation, Toby made a good point, and that it's well maintained, that's there right now, so my other bit of advice would be that I think that the complaints I've heard about gravel over the years is a lot of weeds, it's on tap, mud, there's a lot of it, there could be dust, it's small, but so I think it's also reasonable to take a look at the current condition to see and then that as well.
How many other down the street? I know there's several other gravel lots.
How many? Well, so if you go to my west, so I'm on the corner, you go to the west, so you have the set of apartments that's right there directly to my west. Those are all gravel. Then you have my mom's house, it is gravel. You have her neighbors, which is a major issue. They have concrete, but his whole yard is gravel. I won't bring all that up, that is
So
probably.
there is several.
There are several, even there's gravel across the street, like right behind Stroud's, there's gravel there. You get into a few more paved ones as you cross over Center Street before you get to Leland. There's several right in there that have been paved, but they're like short, 10-foot, just parking spaces, more or less. Most of them are still gravel.
The other thing I'd recommend too that you can consider if you're okay with leaving gravel driveway, gravel extension, something to affect that. It must be kept clean, orderly, and be free. So that if there ever was an issue, that there's a very clear rule on it. Because in the code enforcement section of the ordinance, if somebody had a gravel driveway with a lot of weeds, it's kind of hard to enforce. So something to think about if you wanted to go. Give me a future for that.
Okay, and I have one last question for you. Adam. So the permeable percentage to land or fine on,
That I don't know.
or does that come then the next
Yeah, that
go
would,
around,
that we'd have to figure out as part of the,
the land to structure ratio?
yeah, I would say, so I would say right now, that if you were to approve the concept of the addition, there's no issue. There's a maximum that zoning district in the Old Town overlay is 60%.
Right,
If they were to pave the driveway, it may become a little bit more. of an
is that
issue.
from county to county, does that get counted in that percentage?
Yeah, for the ordinance, the way it goes is, it's impervious surface, so it'd be paved on the property plus the footprint of the road.
Right. Okay, all right, does anybody else have any questions before I finish the question? Okay, well, thank you very much. All right, let me see where I am on this. All right, I think that we need to do these one at a time. Since we have three separate ones. So let's start with the first one that has to do with the garage width. And I think Adam mentioned, and again, we can consider or not consider, adding the condition of landscape mounds, to be installed as shown for the sketch. Okay. Is anybody ready to make a motion on this?
So we motion 3 different times, we vote a single case.
I do 3 separate motions, just so it's clear in case you want to deviate from the.
That's what I'm.
Okay.
So we don't get confused.
Sure.
The garage width, yes.
I'll move to go ahead and approve the variance form for garage width with the condition of the landscaping shown on here will be installed.
Do I have a second?
Down
With the man,
and strap. So here's the question. The shown. Matter of that.
does it matter, yeah, does it matter counted straws, counted in these mounds, or do we leave?
Well,
I don't feel.
If we're not exactly sure where they're gonna go, there's a fire hydrant in the corner too, so I wanna make sure, and we have those trees too, so we'll.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation would be to just go with what you're showing on the site plan. Are you okay with the number or that this is? It looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
well, it says shredded block.
So do we just say landscapes pounds?
Yeah.
Including shrubs and flowers.
That's more vague.
Okay.
We're
That
not-
will-
we're gonna count that one.
Do you-
There you go.
How do you want to do it?
Well, I think I'm gonna go back to so just restate it as the condition
Mhm.
just landscape panels with.
Do we want to have it represented of what's on the sketch, 2 landscape mounds? Which would include,
If they go with 3, or they do an undulating berm or something, it's involved.
okay. So was that wearing that in? Okay. All right, okay, do I have a second? All in favor? Motion carries on first. All right, the second one has to do with, let's pause for a minute and go on with it, we're gonna get these confused. At least the ones with the condition.
Say this is the language.
With the condition of landscaping mounds, with shrubs and flowers. With 40 petals apiece.
Color requirements? It's long, you don't see.
Okay,
You guys want to pass those down to me?
The office manager shall count. On a monthly basis.
Every day on my way home.
Get water and two,
I figured I'd come and just help me. Put the mounds in.
Yeah.
That'll say I want pictures.
okay, on to variance number 2. This one was pertaining to the Madison Street setback, going to 16 foot in lieu of the 25 that is stated.
I'll make a motion to approve variance number 2, to reduce the setback on Madison Street to 16 feet for the 25 feet as required.
And a second,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so down to the last one. So, this one is pertaining to the expansion of the gravel drive. So we talked about, possibly putting a condition on or not. And say it could be, just letting them expand the existing gravel as is, and maybe with a condition of keeping it, clean and weed-free, or all the way to the other extreme of having them pave or concrete the entire drive no later than 1 year at the end of the certificate of occupancy.
I have a question. Are you guys okay with the condition that it be weed-free? I know you guys look up very well, so.
I don't have a problem.
We should take stock in, weed killer.
I'm hoping you might, you're thinking about improving that.
Well, I think,
And that's how you.
right now, okay, so I think that's a question for when it goes to the planning department as far as how big they can make the gravel extension. I mean, right now, if we're just doing the variance of the concept of making the gravel, it won't have to be, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're just, the size of it at this point doesn't.
The maximum width would be for the ordinance, and if they were required to change the sidewalk out front, they need some right of way. It's all for them.
And that would be come through the. Okay,
So we're not worried about, we're not dealing with sidewalk. We're just dealing with the outside.
I would say just the gravel driveways, I would say the sidewalk. Really, is the towns. And I don't know that we can make them.
Right.
fix the gravel just on the sidewalk when it's really the town. I mean,
They wanna do it.
I mean, if I have a choice to do the sidewalk and then gravel and pave the whole thing, or I'll fix the sidewalk.
But you have to drive over it every day.
Well, that could be, I mean, it could be a fair, well, if you're inclined to use, to improve their curb appeal as well, because it's obviously not on the town's high priority list.
Right,
It
sure.
might be, it might fix it at some
Right.
point, but.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, that concrete there has been there. Oh, yeah, I mean, so underneath all of that gravel is the original like concrete from hundreds of years ago.
Okay, do we have anybody ready to make a motion on this one?
I'll move to approve the expansion of the gravel driveway, with the condition that the driveway stays E3.
Forever.
Might be a few on there.
Probably they're in comments by now.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there someone on Zoom that has a question? Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion made, now one looking for a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's do the paperwork for this one.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all the cases for tonight. Thank you all for coming. Hope to see you next month. Do you have something? Okay, okay. I do have, so I make a motion to dismiss. For adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Let me go out.
I didn't technically second.
Oh, wait a minute, you're right. So we have a second on the motion to dismiss.
I'll second that.
Third.
All right, that was a little painful tonight.
Thank you all. Thanks, Alex and Toby.
Thanks, everybody.